Hey everybody, welcome back to the Midnight Paint and Body channel. In this video, we're going to be doing some tidying up on this 72 Dodge Dart. That's been parked for quite some time. So this elderly couple contacted me about this beautiful little 72 Dart. Been sitting for quite some time. The older gentleman was concerned about the rust around the back window. Now I've already picked away at all this body filler back here. You can see it's had water seeping in behind it for quite a while. A little bit crunchy in behind the vinyl, but we're not dealing with that. He just wants to get this tidied up. Really nice old fella. So we're going to see what we can do to get this tidied up for him. I'm going to start by just giving her a wash here. And it's the end of the day now, but I think hopefully tomorrow we'll get started kind of grinding into that and seeing what we have. Well, for just a quick little once over just before I start working on it, she sure cleans up nice. Beautiful little car. And I know everybody's wondering, it turns out she's powered by the old Leaning Tower of Power. Yeah, it's a slant 6 car. So here's what we're going to be fixing up. Now obviously, to do this right, this vinyl top would need to come up. I'm going to get the trim off and see if maybe we can pull it up just enough to clean it up a bit and re-glue it. You know, the customer doesn't want it to turn into a massive overhaul. They just want this stuff fixed up because it's obviously the worst part of the car, the only bad part of the car. So it's the end of the day. Just figured I'd get that washed, get her back in the shop. And then either tomorrow or Monday, we'll get started on it. Hey, so I'm back. So it's been a few days since we had a look at the rust on the Dart here. I noticed when I washed it up, there's another issue on the quarter panel here, and I've talked to the customer and confirmed it's okay to go ahead and repair it. So you can see it looked like this marker light actually did get hit, so it's probably flexed that quarter panel, cracked the body filler. So we're about to find out just how bad it is. So there's what happens when the moisture gets in behind. Oh man. So I have no idea how long ago this car was done. But she definitely seems to have a fair little bit of filler in her. So as you can see, I mean it's not terrible, but it's fairly thick what we've got going on there. So we're going to be cleaning up this quarter panel, and I'm going to get started on this. I'm going to get in the trunk there and see if I can take that chrome off. It should come off. Whether or not I can get up into these ones, I'm not sure. But I'm going to move on to that, and we'll carry on. We'll start grinding that out, see what we can do with it. I might need you guys to call someone to help get me out of this trunk when I'm done here. How did we survive before cell phone flashlights? Set up my cell phone flashlight there again because I didn't bring a light over here. But there you can see, so this had body filler right up under there, and of course body filler soaks up moisture. Oh yeah, this is a mess. But we're not getting into stripping the vinyl top off of this car, that's for sure. But what I will probably do, I don't even want to take this other trim off. But I will try and get that sanded up in there to nice clean metal. Get all this body filler out of here. And then we'll get epoxy primer up underneath and do what we need to do on this back panel. And then I'll try and glue all of this down again. But I think we can do a pretty good job of cleaning that up in there. You know, it's not going to be perfect without actually stripping the vinyl, but that's not where this job is going. We're just trying to keep it kind of simple for them. So I'm going to see if I can get the rest of that trim off and then we'll come back. So I pulled the deck lid off just to give myself a little more access. It's a little easier to get in here and work on this panel. So I'm going to just take some, right now, 60 grit on stripper and just start cleaning this out and see. You know, a lot of the time I run into stuff like this where it's right full of body filler, and in the end, sometimes it doesn't even need to be there, so maybe we'll get lucky on this one. Stacked with all different layers of body filler, and I can see where it had been ground into and new filler put in places, so this has been touched up before. I think I'm going to switch to a grinder. Man, what a mess. There had to be a gallon of body filler on that back panel. And I guarantee I won't be putting anywhere near that much back in. It is wavy, but I don't see why it needed to be built up like that. All right, I'm gonna let the dust settle, sweep up a little bit, and then we'll come in and we'll have a look at what we have to work with here. So I've gone over this, kind of gotten the metal as clean as I can get it. You know, it would be nice to run a sandblaster over that, get the last of that rust out of there, but I'm afraid it would just blow holes in it, and it's yeah, probably just not the best. So I'm just going to go ahead from here. I'm going to put a coat of Evercoat Everglass fiberglass filler on that now. So that fiberglass filler is more of a waterproof filler. So you can see the way all the body filler that was in here, it's, you know, with this vinyl top getting wet, staying wet, the body filler just absorbs that water. So I'm sure that was, you know, just wet and squishy in there for a lot of years. At least the fiberglass filler gives it a little more of a fighting chance to stay good for a while. I figured I'd show you just in case anyone was interested. So yeah, the first stuff I put on, that's this Evercoat Everglass short strand fiberglass body filler. And then I always finish with this Evercoat Z-Grip. This is my favorite filler. Again, like I say all the time, everybody's got a preference. We all like different things, especially in this trade, but this is what I like. The gold filler, that's usually what most guys use, but I'm not a big fan of it, so I just like the way this stuff sands. It doesn't build as much, it's quite fine and almost kind of runny, but I think that's what I like about it. Get it in the can here, so might have to get some more before I finish this job. Thinking one coat should do it. Well, a little too much harder. That was kicking over on me before I finished spreading it on, but that's all right. Might just have to touch up a little bit.
I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here. The world seems small. We can sit together.
So there's the first coat of body filler taken down. As you can see, there's some little bit that needs a little more filler. So I'm gonna go ahead and just fill those spots, and then we'll finish up sanding her, and yeah, not far away from getting some primer on it. So there's that second coat of body filler sanded off. So as you can see, like I kind of touched on earlier, this thing had just a massive amount of body filler in it. This is a very small amount. It was basically one coat of filler, then I gave it a light coat just to fill in the imperfections. So I've got that all pretty much sanded. I don't like filling up to paint like that, but you know, in this case, we're not stripping out the whole car, so this is how it's got to be. But it's the end of the day now, so in the morning I'll go around it, we'll fill any little imperfections, little pinholes and stuff that are still there. A bit on the quarter panel there too, just It's a really small amount of filling it needs. So we'll get a little putty in that in the morning, get it sanded down, and we'll be ready to get some primer on it. So one last look here. I've got all the body work done. Everything's feathered back with 180 grit. And as you can see, I've got all this finished off. So the white spots you see, that's just a little bit of finishing putty. Just a couple of low spots I needed to fill. Now, like you can see looking at this, you know, you can see the initial coat of fiberglass filler I put on. So then it's just a really thin coat of body filler. I did second coat the body filler, and that's where you're seeing the dark greens. So you can see not much, it only stayed in the low spots, so not much of that stayed on. And then just a little bit of finishing putty to fill the bad spots. So we are ready to put this in the booth, mask it up for primer. My day got cut short a little bit. Yeah, I don't usually keep shelves in my paint booth, but I had to make some room over here. So yeah, I had a paint system installed today. So moving forward now, I'll be able to mix all my own colors here. So that's the full PPG shop line base coat paint system right there. So that's pretty exciting for me. But anyway, back to the car. Let's get her in the booth, get some primer on. Well, if you're still watching, we're ready to put some primer on. In this case, we're using the Shopline JP390 epoxy primer first. And like I've said before, I'm not advertising anything. I don't get anything for advertising, anything like that. I'm just showing you guys what I use and what I find works really well. So take it for what it is. You may use other products and like them better, and that is fine. So I gave it 2 coats of the epoxy primer. Now that's going to seal up all the bare metal and everything. Now we're going to follow that up with 2 or 3 coats of the high build urethane primer, in this case the Shopline JP 355. And yeah, I was going to say then we'll come back tomorrow and get her prepped up, but I just found out tomorrow is a holiday. It's a long weekend, I guess, so Canada Day. So, not that it matters if you're watching the video, but I probably won't be back to prepping it till Monday. Well, good morning. I'm back. It's Monday morning again. I hope everyone had a good Canada Day or Independence Day weekend, depending on where you are. So we're back on the Dodge Dart. We're going to start getting this blocked out. So this is pretty basic from this point. I've got some 220 grit on a good block. I'm going to block this out, and then we'll go to 320 and 400, and the same with the rest of the panels. Now, I like to keep them masked up when I prep, just in case I need to re-prime anything and it's already masked. That's just the way I've always done it. And as always, bodywork is all about feel. Doesn't matter what it looks like. If you can feel something, you're gonna see it when it's shiny. So that's sanded in 320 now, so I'm going to move on to the other stuff, and then when I come back to this, we'll hand sand it with 400, and any little burn throughs, I usually just use a little bit of aerosol primer, just for those little spots before I sand it with 400, and yeah, that'll be the next step, and then we'll be almost ready for paint. I've got all the primer sanded with 320 grit at this point. Spot primed a couple little bits, just a really light coat of aerosol primer, just where there was some burn throughs in the primer. So what I'm going to do now is hand sand all the primer areas with 400 grit. And then all of the rest of the panel that we're painting is going to be hand sanded in 800 grit. Now the reason we do this, and this is the part a lot of people don't realize about doing this kind of work. Now these kind of colors, now this is a fairly modern pearl color on this car. These paints are not designed to just butt match. Like, you're not going to paint this quarter panel, have it match the trunk lid. You know, you might get lucky with some, but for the most part, they're actually not designed for that. So what we do with these, the reason I'm going to 800 grit the rest of the panel, so we're going to be painting color over the primer, and we'll just kind of blend it out, but our color is not going to go all the way to the adjoining panel. So the color will kind of stop in there, if that makes sense, and then we clear coat the whole panel. So that gives you that little bit of a blend area, so you're leaving this existing match between the two panels by not putting color all the way up there. And when I put the deck lid back on this car, I'm going to sand the deck lid as well, and then when we paint this back panel, the color is just going to kind of blow onto the deck lid. It's going to match perfectly. We clear coat everything. Alright everybody, so she's all masked up in the booth, ready for paint. So I just thought I'd kind of give you guys a look at what we were talking about earlier, so you can see This part of the panel is all just 800 grit, so we're going to put color over the primer spots. We're going to keep the color away from the adjoining panel to ensure we still have that color match. And I put the trunk lid back on and sanded it. Now, this side, the original intention of this job was both sides we're gonna keep just on the top of the quarters, but then we found that cracked filler in the other quarter panels. So this side we're just trying to keep up here. I've already tacked it off, so I'm just gonna go grab a paint gun and we're gonna start painting. Alright, there it is. It's all painted. 3 coats of blue base coat and 2 coats of clear. So we'll let that cure up until tomorrow, and then we'll have another look at it. We'll get her put together and see how she turns out. Yeah, takes a minute to clear out in there.
Bring the funk back.
Well, here she is, guys, all finished up, cleaned up for the customer. So here's the panels we repaired and painted. You can see, I don't know if you can pick it up in the camera, but you know, this is where we repaired this quarter panel. So if you look down it, it's still nice and straight. You don't see at all where the repair was done, and that's what you want. And, a little bit of primer overspray there. I gotta clean up before it goes. So yeah, if you hung in there this long, like I always say, I just do this hoping maybe it'll help someone out with their projects. It may give you a little insight as to what goes on in this kind of repair. So let me know in the comments if it's, yeah, if it's something you'd like to see more of, this type of thing, if it helped you out at all. So there it is, guys. As always, thanks so much for watching the video. If this kind of thing helps you out with your projects, or gives you a little insight into what goes on with this kind of repair, then let me know in the comments. I like hearing from you guys. I like to know, what people like to see or don't care about, whatever. And if there's something you would like to see, learn about auto body, let me know. I can try and make that happen. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, the little bell, whatever. And yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I hope you come back for the next one. You never know what it's going to be.